Good afternoon, class. Today we're going to be continuing our lesson over logic and conditional statements. Today we're going to be learning the different components and characteristics that will make up a conditional statement, and we will also learn how to identify these different components. Uh, First, we're going to start off with a couple of new definitions of some terms that will help us out, and then I'm going to run through an example or two, and then we are going to run through about three examples, and then I have five page, a 5 question little homework practice sheet, independent practice sheet with bonus at the bottom, provided for students if you do attempt it or get it right. And so, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get in it, and we'll start off with our first definition, which is uh, the word statement. Statement. And a statement is a set of words or symbols that make a claim which can be proven true or false. Um, Statements are often noted as P and Q. And so, with this definition, I'm going to have students fill in their definition on their worksheet right here, which is provided with the same definition and blanks for them to fill out as we go along. There's also blanks for examples that they'll have to copy as well. And so, moving on from that, that was our first definition. And so, with that, I will give an example of a statement. Our first example, and you can copy this down in the examples space provided there, is the Dallas Cowboys, Cboys, short, are a professional football team. Pro football team. And so this is a statement because you can prove that they are in the NFL, have players, their record, stats, so on and so forth. You can prove these things. And so that is a statement. Our next vocab word is going to be a connective. A connective means that we are going to obtain new statements from known statements. Obtain new statements from old statements.
No. Known statements.
Known statements, thank you. Known statements. All right. And so, moving on to our next definition, or our next term, is going to be of a conditional sentence. This is the main idea for today. A conditional sentence. What is a conditional sentence? A conditional sentence is, let's see here, for the statements, P and Q, the sentence, if P, then Q, is called the conditional sentence. And in this conditional sentence, this P and Q that we noted right here, P is called the hypothesis. Hypothesis. And Q is called the conclusion. And so, with that, our first example, let me erase all of this. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to write this first example of a conditional sentence up on the board, and we are going to, and I'm going to show you how I go through and identify the P's and Q's, the hypothesis, and the conclusion of a conditional statement. So we'll start off with this, with this first example right here, and it says, if the Cowboys, Seaboys, play in the NFL, then 8 is even. And so our conditional sentence, or the original, is if P, then Q. So with that, I'm going to read this sentence. If the Cowboys play in the NFL, then 8 is even. So to find my P, or my hypothesis, I'm going to go in here, and there's that first if, and so the Cowboys play in the NFL, right? So our P is the Cowboys play in the NFL, which is a statement. This can be proven. We can figure out if they are in the NFL or not. And our conclusion is Q right here, and that comes after then. So then, right there, 8 is even. So our Q is going to be 8 is even. And that's all we're going to do for this lesson. That's all we need. We just need to find our P and our Q, our hypothesis and our conclusion. And so with that, we are going to complete these next 3 examples as a class. And so let's see here, and let's get this first example written on the board.
First example is,
would you read that to me, please?
if squares have 3 sides, then triangles have 4.
Squares have 3 sides.
Then triangles have
four. Okay. So Sade, how are we going to start this? How are you gonna start this? Where would you start?
I'm gonna look for my translations.
All right. Okay. And she said these translations, and I have provided these translations. They are located at the bottom of the page, and they just have these different ways that the conditional statement may be said.
So I noticed that this example is a lot like the example before. So it starts with if. So I know that everything coming after that if is going to be the hypothesis, which is going to be P. Squares have 3 sides.
Perfect. So our P, or our hypothesis, is squares have 3 sides.
Then I see my next part of that translation then, so I know everything coming after then is going to be the conclusion. So which being triangles have 4.
Perfect. And so our conclusion is triangles have 4 sides. And with that, that is pretty much the completion of our lesson. So if there are any questions or anything that needs to be cleared up, we can go ahead. Please feel free to ask me, and that'll be all.